Well, welcome. Thanks for joining me, whether you're with me live or whether you are watching this as a replay later on. Glad you're taking some time for yourself. So, if you're joining me live or even if it's on the replay, go ahead and start in a seated position. Now, you might feel comfortable sitting cross-legged as I am. You might wish to sit in another way, maybe even starting in a chair if you've uh, never really found a lot of comfort sitting cross-legged on the floor. Maybe you want to start in a chair and just do the beginning seated part from a chair. So just take a moment to settle in to your seated position, whatever it looks like today. And then you might go ahead and close your eyes, just beginning to draw your attention inside your body so that you have this time to notice how you're feeling today. So sometimes when you step on your practice mat, whether it's yoga or another type of movement, sometimes we're very scattered and our mind is going all over the place. And sometimes we're pretty calm and grounded. So just take a moment to notice what's going on inside you today. And then invite your breath to encourage a slowing down of any busyness of your thoughts by breathing in a way that encourages this sort of mellow quality to your mind and body. And one of the ways that we can do that is by breathing in to a certain count and then breathing out to a certain count. And so for tonight, we'll breathe into the count of 4, briefly hold the breath inside, and then breathe out to 6. So intentionally breathing out just a little bit longer than you breathed in. Now for me, I'm going to pause for about 2 counts after I inhale, but you could pause a little bit longer if you want to before you take your 6 count exhale. So when you're ready, breathe into the count of 4. Briefly hold your breath. And exhale to the count of 6. Again, inhale to 4. Briefly hold your breath. And exhale to 6. Again, inhale to 4. Hold your breath. Exhale to 6. And one more like that. Inhale to 4. Hold the breath. Exhale to 6. Now allow your breath to come back to a natural, easy pace where you let go of the counting of your breath and you just simply let the body breathe in and out at a speed and volume that is necessary for whatever you're doing with your body. We'll come back to that 4 count inhale and 6 count exhale toward the end. But for the middle portion of our practice, just let your body breathe as you're moving, without really thinking too much about it. So go ahead and take your palms together in front of your heart, interlace your fingers, press your palms forward and up. Then we'll start to reach up through one hand and up through the other side, left and right a few times. Just gently pull down on your fingers a little bit so you stretch the inside surface of each hand, wrist, down each arm and shoulder, and down each side of your torso. All right, and then let your hands release all the way to the floor. And then we'll just lean some weight into the right hand. You might even walk it out a little bit if you've got some space. And then take your left hand to your left shoulder and just start to rotate. Take a few circles one way. A few circles the opposite way. All right, sweep your left hand all the way up and over. And as you start to reach with that left hand, squeeze and release the fingers. And then rotate through the wrist a few times each way. All right, as you inhale, lift up. And as you exhale, release your hand down. And then we'll slide that left hand out. Leaning into it, take the right hand to the right shoulder and start to circle. A couple of times in one direction. And a couple times the opposite way. All right, take your right hand all the way up and over. Squeeze and release the fingers, as well as rotate through the wrist. A few times each way. All right, with an in-breath, lift up. And with your out-breath, release your hand. All right, now we'll extend the right leg out. So if you are sitting cross-legged, go ahead and extend your right leg out to the side, kind of out at an angle. Leave your left knee bent here. If you are sitting in a chair, you may wish to move to the floor at this time, just so that you can extend your leg and not have to hold it up. All right, so from here, we'll just walk this right hand down the right leg. And just start to notice what's going on in the back of the right leg. What can you feel? All right, so you can stop at any point that you need to stop here. So for you, your hand might go all the way down towards your ankle. You might stop a little closer toward your knee. But then we'll move the torso a little bit. So just start to move this left shoulder back as though both of your shoulders could go in the same plane as your straight leg. It doesn't have to be all the way there, but that's the direction you're going toward, going in. All right, so my left shoulder is moving back in space. And then I'm just going to take this left hand to rest behind my head. My elbow reach up toward the ceiling. And then just turn my head to look out beyond my left armpit. So this left shoulder is going back, back, back. I feel some sensation in the back of the straight leg. And I'm just letting the body breathe. What sensation is present now? Gentle movements of the belly, the rib cage. Take one more breath. All right, slowly lift the torso up. This hand that's behind my head is now going to go behind my hips to the floor. And then I'm going to take this right hand over towards the left knee. So now as I start to twist toward the left, my left shoulder keeps going back in space. And now I'm going to turn my head to look back behind me. As I do that, I'm going to close my eyes and relax all the muscles of the face and the jaw. All right, take one more breath. All right, begin to untwist from the head and neck first, and then the shoulders, and then the rest of the torso. All right, so we'll switch our legs. So now take your left leg out, fold that right leg back in. Again, just start with your left hand on your left leg and just walk it down toward the ankle. And you can stop at any point that you need to stop, where you start to feel some amount of pull on the back of your left leg. Doesn't have to be super intense, just a little bit. And then we'll take the right shoulder and just start to move it back in space. So the direction that you're moving toward, again, is that both of your shoulders are in the same plane as your straight leg. If you're not all the way there, that's okay. That's just the direction we're going in. All right, so this right shoulder keeps moving back in space. And I'm going to take my right hand to rest behind my head. Reach the elbow up, turn my head over to the right, looking past my right armpit. Breathing deeply. Head resting in my hand. All right, now slowly lift up. The hand that's behind your head, take it to the floor behind your hips. And then take this left hand across over to the right knee. Lifting tall. And then twist over to the right. So your right shoulder keeps going back. Now turn your head to look back. Relax the muscles of the face and the jaw. Breathing deeply. All right, now release from head and neck and shoulders and the rest of the torso. And then we'll transition onto hands and knees. As always, if your knees are sensitive to the floor, you might put a blanket underneath your knees. Or if you have a couple of blocks, if you lay them in the orientation where you have the biggest surface facing up, you can rest your shins on the blocks. If you don't want to put any pressure on your knees, just as an option, you could also tuck your toes in this way also. Works really nicely if you're someone who's had a knee replacement. Now put that pressure on your knees. So with your hands under your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, we'll breathe in, letting the belly drop. Lift your head and your tail. And then breathe out, tuck the tail, round the back, chin to chest. You can inhale, belly drops, head and tail lift. Exhale, tuck, and round. All right, one more, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, as you bring your torso to neutral, step your left foot forward to your left hand. Lift your torso up so that you're in a 90-90 lunge or a split stance, however you want to call it. Front knee over the ankle, so it's the left knee forward, left knee over the ankle. Right hip directly over your knee. And then we'll take our arms forward and just bring the palms together to touch. Do a dynamic twist here before we hold the rotation. So as your palms are touching, also take your attention to the space between your shoulder blades on your back. And then as you're breathing in, imagine that space between your shoulder blades inflating. And then as you exhale, sweep your left arm out and back. Again, inhale, palms back together. Exhale and twist. One more time like that, breathing in. And breathing out. Now pause in the twist. Let your right hand come down to meet your left knee. And then let that left palm turn up and down several times. So that as the palm is turning up and down, you're letting your entire arm rotate back and forward. So you should feel it all the way up in your shoulder as you turn the palm up as far as it's able to go, and then down and back as far as it's able to go. A couple rotations like that. Rolling up and slightly back, rolling down and back. One more breath. All right, now sweep your left hand forward, take both hands to the floor. Step forward into a forward fold. Now you can take your feet as wide as you'd like here. Maybe there's a little bit of a bend in your knees, especially if the backs of your legs are feeling a little tight. Let the weight of your head fall toward the floor. Gently shake it yes and no. All right, crawl your hands up the fronts of your legs, rising to stand nice and slow. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears, take them back and down. Again, shrugging up and back and down, and then once more up and back and down. And then take the palms together in front of the heart. Take a breath in, reach up. Breathing out as you fold forward, bend your knees, hands to the floor. Step back to hands and knees, where we were before. I'm going to tuck our toes under, lift the knees, take the hips up and back as we land into downward facing dog. Now take some attention to your feet and notice the contact that your feet make with your mat. If, like me, you still have your socks on because it's maybe chilly in the space that you're in, it might be a little bit more slippery and you might choose to take your socks off to have better grip with your mat. Although I'm stubborn today, so I'm keeping my socks on. Take some attention as well to your hands as you spread your fingers wide. Noticing the contact that both of your hands make with the floor. Shifting some of the weight into the fingers and not letting all the weight in your hands be in the base of your palm, but really spread your fingers and use your fingers to push down. All right, release down to your knees. This time, right foot to right hand. Stepping into that short lunge, 90-90 lunge, whatever you want to call it. Front knee is over the ankle, left hip is over the knee. All right, take the arms forward, palms come to touch. Remember that as the palms are together, we're imagining the space between the shoulder blades inflating as we breathe in here. And then exhale, twist to your right, send the right arm out and back. Twice more, inhale, palms join back together. Breathing out as you twist. All right, one more time, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, let your front hand come down to your knee. So left hand, right knee. And then turn your head to look back towards this right hand. And then we'll let the palm turn up and down. And then really let your whole arm rotate back and forward. So you feel this rotation of the palm and the arm all the way up in your shoulder. Rotate as far forward and down and then up and back as you're able to. As feels okay for your shoulder, for your body. All right, bring that right hand forward. Both hands to the floor. This time we'll take the right leg back. And we'll have a seat back towards our feet as we come into child's pose. So for some of us, this pose is plenty comfortable. For others, it's not very comfortable. So what you can experiment with is how close your knees are to each other. You might keep them right next to each other. You might separate your knees. If you have a bolster or something similar, you can always place that in between your legs and lay over it. Lovely way to rest, especially if you're staying in the pose for a long time. But for the purposes of this class, we'll just take about 3 breaths here as we bring the torso forward in a way that works for our unique bodies. Take 3 breaths. All right, so after your 3rd breath, go ahead and slowly transition onto your back. And so as you come onto your back, start with your knees bent and your feet resting on the floor. You can take your arms wherever you want to for the moment. But just step your feet a little bit wider than your hips. You might even take them all the way as wide as your mat. And then just start to sway your knees from side to side. So I really like to step the feet wide apart so that as we're swaying the knees side to side, they don't bump into each other. So you can really explore your full range of internal and external rotation with your legs here. Couple more times, swaying side to side. All right, so as you come back to stillness, to neutral, I will cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Now bring the legs in toward the chest. Your right hand is going to go through the hole that you've made with your legs to grab a hold of that left leg. And then I like to rock a little from side to side, noticing the different sensations that are created as you cross your legs in this way. And then start to rotate through your left ankle a couple of times in one direction. A couple of times the opposite way as well. All right, one more round of breath. All right, release your left foot to the floor, followed by your right foot, and just switch. Left ankle, right thigh. Legs come in, now it's the left hand going through. Grab a hold of your right leg, rock a bit side to side. Noticing the different sensations in that left hip, as well as rotate through your right ankle. A couple of times each way. All right, then release your right foot to the floor, followed by your left foot. All right, now go ahead and roll onto your left side. Bring your knees in nice and close. And then just like we did in that lunge, we'll take our palms together to touch. So as you inhale here as well, feel that space between your shoulder blades inflate. And then as you exhale, send the right arm up and over toward the floor behind you. All right, twice more. Inhale, palms back together. And exhale as you twist. One more time, breathing in. And breathing out. And so as you've come into the twist this time, you have some options for how you might want to personalize the rotation depending on what your body is comfortable with. So you might just let your left hand rest on your top knee. Keep the knees together as an option. You might also let that bottom leg, your left leg, straighten out along the mat. So this right knee comes a little bit closer to the floor, or maybe a block if you've got one and want to use it. And third option, if it is comfortable to straighten that bottom leg, the left leg, you could also bend the knee, catch the foot with your right hand, and drop that right shoulder back. And so different ways of experiencing this rotation in your body. You choose one that feels good for today. And see which way your head wants to turn. Let your whole body be heavy here. Let go of remaining effort, any remaining striving. Continue to feel the body breathing itself. right, once you feel your next breath release out of your body, slowly come back to center so that you're rolling back onto your back. Go as slow as you need to go. Sometimes it's nice to go super, super slow and just notice the subtlety. Once you're back on your back, take your feet wide again, but drop the knees in toward each other. And just pause a moment here before we do the second side. Deep breath in and out. And then when you're ready, roll to your right side. Starting with your knees bent, drawn in pretty close. And then just like we did in that lunge, bring the palms together. As you breathe in, feel that space between your shoulder blades inflate. As you breathe out, left arm sweeps up and over toward the floor behind you. Twice more, breathing in. And breathing out. And once more, breathing in. And breathing out. Again, you can take any of the three options for rotation here. First one being just keeping your knees together. Right hand resting on the top knee. Second option, to let that bottom leg straighten out. So that's your right leg. So that maybe your left knee will come a little closer to the floor. Or if you do have a block handy, you might wish to put it under your left knee for support. Or third option, if you were able to straighten out that right leg, maybe bend the knee and grab the foot with your left hand. Left shoulder drops back so that you're still twisting. And again, whichever version of the rotation feels good in your body, just let yourself become heavy. Release unnecessary effort where it might exist. Check back in with your thoughts and emotions. What is present for you? All right, as you release your next breath, then slowly begin to release the rotation as you roll back onto your back, as slowly as you need and want to go. We'll once again step the feet as wide as the mat. Drop the knees in toward each other. This time we'll let our hands rest on the belly. And to conclude our practice, we'll resume that breathing cadence that we did in the beginning, where we're breathing into the count of 4, briefly holding the breath, maybe 2 counts, and then exhale to 6. All right, breathing into 4. Briefly hold your breath. Exhale to 6. Inhale to 4. Hold the breath. Exhale to 6. Now keep breathing in this way. And each time that you're breathing out to the count of 6, really let your body be heavy. Dropping into support, dropping into the floor, any props you might be using. Take at least one more round of breath this way. And then when you feel ready, roll to one side and just pause there. As you pause there on your side, let your breath resume its natural, easy pace and volume. Noticing how you feel after the short practice. What are you aware of? And then when you become ready, just press yourself up. Come back into a seated position. Always moving as slowly as you need or want to. And as we join together in seated, we'll bring our palms together in front of the heart. As we bow to the light within ourselves as well as each other, we acknowledge that we are not two, we are one. Thank you. Thanks again for practicing with me either live or on the replay. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave a comment and I will respond. See you next time. Bye-bye.